ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide. Gonna let all the fears slide. Got mother nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to New Tartarian Times Beyond the Self. I'm here with Campbell, and Campbell's here with me early in both of our mornings. And we're going to discuss a continuation of our last one where we were, looking at what is beyond the self. What is your world about? How do you get to your new story? We've talked about that. We've looked at bugs in the system. And now we're going to maybe delve around a little bit about the challenges inside and outside once you start to build your story, psychic attacks, what's bothering you between your ears, what seems to get in your way on the outside, and what you can do about the challenges that are going to rise while you're making your new story.
Yes. How you going, Renzo?
Good, good. Hey, Campbell.
Sitting here in a very brisk morning, so I have a big coat on. It's a little bit chilly. But I've obviously just moved, across the country, and bugs. What are bugs? Bugs in the system, all this stuff, parasites, rah rah. I mean, they're the voices, really, aren't they? They're the voices,
Mm.
the negative voices that natter. And it's interesting because when I was in Perth, there was a lot, I was subject to a lot more radiation via propaganda, all this noise and news and stuff. And I didn't hear, I was like, I'm good, no chatter there. But now that I've moved to the country and everything's a lot more quiet and there's not much sort of going on in the background, feel these bugs are starting to be, I can hear them now. I'm like, oh, where were
Mm.
you hiding? So it's interesting. I think the thing about these voices is they don't come out and tell you, hello, I'm the bug, I'm the bad guy. They pretend to be you. So we really have to know who we are, I guess, to work out who or what these bugs are and when they pop up so that we can squash them like they should be squashed.
Yeah, it's the hardest part about making your new story is generally the thing that hides the most, right? And if it's hiding behind your eyes, or it's hiding behind, between your ears, or if it's hiding using your voice, it's easy to trick you, right? It's easy to fall prey to it. It's easy to be sidetracked or taken away. Even in the definitions of the day, right? I mean, so many people are talking about AI and they're afraid of AI or the all-seeing eye, and so many people are afraid of virtual reality and what it is and what's going on. And I strongly feel that all of this is a part of us, right? We're being tricked into making. I mean, what is virtual reality, right? It's a reality that's almost there, that's not real, that you're making. And something that hit me the other day is everyone thinks it's putting on some goggles, right, and looking at a TV screen or buying the latest video game. But I've always said that if it's obvious, like if it's a TV show, or if it's obvious that it's pushed out to you, or if it's obvious that somebody is saying that it's coming, to me, it's obviously a misdirection, right? Because everyone, in my opinion, is already living a virtual reality, right? If you're not living your story, if you're not living your idea of life, if you're living in a religion, or if you're living in what school told you, or if you're living in what media told you, if you're living even what your parents told you, it's not your reality. It's not your life. I mean, where did these rules come from? Where did the ideas and limitations and so-called permissions all originate? And I want to take this back to the bugs that Campbell mentioned, which is why I mentioned this, is maybe those bugs are what is perpetuating or continuing on with, you hear it between your ears. You can't do that. You shouldn't do this. You must do that. You're a bad girl. You're a bad boy. You're a good girl. You're a good boy when you do this, the other thing. And like, where do these ideas come from? Where does this reality come from? Where does that voice even come from? Where does your intuition come from? These are all really important questions. And by asking these questions and seeing the answers that you get and where you want to go, by your own admission as to what you feel you would like to create. And I know this is a little hard to put into words because I'm trying to discuss, maybe multidimensionals in this, unidimensional way. I'm communicating with Campbell, but really what it comes down to is if you understand the bugs, you understand your reality, you understand yourself, you understand where you're going, and you understand what you wish for, not what you can wish for or what you'd like to wish for, but what you're honestly asking for, then you can continue or begin to make your story more realistic for yourself, stronger, more real, and move in that way. But really, you have to explore yourself in a deep, uncomfortable way. before you can move from that way, I would say.
Yeah. And this is, probably why a lot of people, ignore these bugs and that, because, we're so taught to focus on the outside and how we look and how other people, perceive us, right? So we can't go inside and admit that, that there's things we need to fix inside of us. And, we see this a lot with people, it's often the people with the biggest bugs, the biggest monsters that want to tell everyone else how to live their life. And they don't want to go inside and fix themselves. So everything, needs to be turned back in. It's the toroid, right? It's the onion. The layers, peeling back the layers of the onion. It's a statue that's not finished, right? When there's nothing more to add, it's finished. When there's nothing more to take away. So we're taught, in society, and this is the other thing. We're taught this reality. This is why they have to send us to school for 12 years most of the time, to imprint this reality. So that is the virtual reality. It's not real. It's not the real reality. The real reality is under all the layers, but you can't get there unless you're truthful with yourself. And this is the essence of pretty much everything, right? If you're not truthful with yourself, if you don't know thyself, you can't go anywhere. You can't fix a problem that you don't know you have. And people love to stack virtual reality on virtual reality, right? They don't like the reality they're in, which isn't theirs, which is being taught. So they stack all these other ones, and they then pretend, they put the masks on and pretend to be something else and create personas, and then they just building these layers away from themselves. And that may seem easier, but in the long run, it's not. The easy thing is to just deal with yourself and be truthful. And, have those conversations if you need to. Ask people who love you, your family, your partner, how am I? How do you perceive me? Because a lot of us, we can't see ourselves. Right? Other people can see a lot in us that we just miss. So that's also, obviously with people you trust. But this is the main thing is, if you want to get to reality, the real thank you, then you've got to give up the virtual, right? You do have to take the goggles off. You have to take off, they live, right? Take off, or no, they put on the sunnies, don't they? But you have to peel back this overlay that has been imprinted on us, because that's what's happened. We're told this is reality, this is red, this is why the sky is blue, this is speed, this is what you need to do with your life, get a job and get a mortgage and and do this. And that's not true. That's someone else's reality. And we can only create our own reality when we, when we're courageous enough, I guess, to go inside and really view what we want, and then go out and do it. Without worrying what the feedback's going to be, without worrying what people are going to say, because when you do something different, you're always going to get, haters, right? You're always going to get the naysayers every time.
I mean, it's so hard to believe or trust in anything other than your own experience. I mean, even everything you hear on the internet about AI and virtual reality and wars and what's going on and, secret exposures and, we found out this and the other person found out that, and this is what the virus was about, and this is what it wasn't about, and this is what AIDS was about, and this, who knows about any of this stuff? Like who really knows about these experts, these people, this information? Like, I don't know anything about anything, but I do know the experiences I have in my life. And so people that say, this bad thing is happening, so we have to fight it, or that bad thing, or even the angels are talking to me, or anything outside of you, I would find suspect, for the simple reason that, why is this information coming to you? Why have you taken it on? Why are you deciding, that this is good and this is bad? As Cambell said, you learn for at least 12 years in school. You go from 5 to, 18. Most people go to university, so way more than that. Most people are probably in school for 15 years. And, you're getting all this input. And and again, it's not a moral standing that you have to figure it out for yourself and you have to take responsibility and you should do this or that. It's literally an energetic truth in that you make your reality in how you see, believe, intuit, act, what your guts are telling you. So it's all you all the time. Like all these people that are saying, like, well, I'm having a psychic attack, so I can't do this, or I'm being yelled at, or I can't, any outside influence that's stopping you from doing what you feel like doing is literally the virtual reality that is being imposed on you as opposed or expressed as in like what is virtual? What is reality? Like virtual version, tool, maybe dual. I mean, it's interesting to if you start to break up these words, version, vision, maybe tool, virtual. Tool kind of rhymes with dual. So maybe their virtual reality is just the duality that most people are living in. It's possible if you want to play with words a little bit. And I was sitting there, looking at this over even before I just got on. If it's virtual and you're living dual, or AI, as in all-seeing eye, like people are all worried about it. And I think we're living in a mirror reality. Maybe AI switched on itself as just I am. So, maybe AI or all-seeing eye is just giving you this reality that's not you, people are living in. And maybe if you switch it around in that, Cambell and I have discussed this before, we're living in a mirror world, and you look back at yourself, maybe it's IA or I am. And wasn't that God's original I am that I am? One of the original ones that came down to us. So I like to play with these and take them back as far as possible. Like I'm getting chills and thinking about this because maybe I am that I am is a hint at what you can do as you are who you are. And you just have to figure out the I am instead of the AI, switch it on its ass and understand the virtual is maybe just dual reality, which everybody gets their duality, good, bad, up, down, evil, bad, all of these things. And then so you kind of collapse that. Again, the Big Bang Theory, everything's opposite. I've read that maybe things aren't expanding out, maybe things are collapsing into, I am the oneness that you are. And not that we're all ones, we all have to be the same, we have to wear the same pants, and boys and girls or girls and boys, that's the biggest bullshit in the world. But it's maybe just that what it comes down to is you make your reality. So literally you are the only one that's important. And I don't want people to say that, oh my goodness, means you're selfish, but it's not about being selfish, right? Once you realize you are the only one that's important, you realize you have to be loving if you want a loving life. You have to be generous if you want a generous life. You have to be smart if you want a smart life. You have to be creative if you want a creative life, because as you are is as your reality becomes. So it's not, again, a moral thing. It's more of an intelligence or integrity, which just means to be whole anyways. Integrity means, if you have an integrous structure, it means to be of whole, of sound, of completeness. So if you have integrity and you're complete and you realize the AI is the I am, and then you take or you accept responsibility for all the BS and bullshit and mistakes in your life because they're yours. I don't care if you were one, if you were just born, if you just breathed out and something silly happened. I still feel we asked to be born from where we come from. So, nobody's coming in blind, so to speak. I think from first breath to last breath, we asked to go through these experiences so that we can figure things out for ourselves and move forward from there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was one of the first, I think it's in the Bible when they asked God his name. He said, I am that I am.
Yeah.
So this is it, the I am, the AI, the I, and we are the I, of course. So it's all these dual meanings. Of course, they love to put the I in the little triangle, and this it's all seeing. Well, maybe we're the all seeing I. Maybe that's the oneness, right? But of course, that they put it as an evil, thing, and they put all this propaganda out, so no one will look into it. And this is the whole thing about getting all your information from outside of you. It's all opinions. We don't know this stuff, and we've been told so much stuff, and we've been told it's truth and it's the way forward and everything, blah, 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 blah. But is it? Can we really question things? Because if we can't question things by ourselves, just literally thinking, is this right and wrong? If we can't go through that process, then we're not living our lives. We're living someone else's version of it. Because every thought we have is basically controlled by the outside world. So this is, and this is kind of the biggest bugs of all, right? They're hiding in plain sight. We just think that's us and our persona, but it's not. They're sitting there taking away from us and hiding the real us. So we don't get to ask those questions. So ultimately, we don't move on. We don't grow. We don't write a better story, all these things. So virtual reality, we're already there. We're already in the virtual reality, and the way out is in, right? And we've heard this before, like life's an inner game, right? So all the answers are in, and you are the I. Of course you are. And so does that mean, are you seeing with your eye? or have you given your eye to the all-seeing eye? Because that's what they want, right? They want to take over, the big view of who you are. And as far as artificial intelligence, you can believe what it is. You can believe whatever you think it is. And we have all this fear, right? Oh my God, artificial intelligence. I saw one this morning. What was it? I saw two. One was artificial intelligence is turning young men into terrorisms, those kind of people. And the other one was AI someone in a business got it to write something, and the AI was lying to it and was making up references of books that didn't exist, and so everyone's like, oh my God, AI is going to take over the world. I believe AI is an algorithm. I don't believe it has any intelligence at all. I believe what's going on here is it's another inversion. It's getting more intelligent by everyone using it. How many people have jumped onto AI and started asking it questions and pouring in information into it and letting them know letting it know how they think? So it's getting smarter now. It's still an algorithm, but we're giving it the information to get smarter. So that's going to create the virtual reality, right? Because it's outside of us. So this is the thing. Artificial reality can be or artificial intelligence can be whatever you think it is. And if we're creators, if we bring everything back to where energy, like attracts like, we create energy and visions, and that attracts the same thing back. Well, then if I don't believe artificial intelligence is intelligent or ever could be, then can it be? Right? It's not a possibility in my reality. So this is the thing. I think a big thing that people can't get past is that their reality is different to everyone else's.
Yeah.
We're all creating our own little world. We're all in our own little world. So what someone else says to you is true is only true for them. It's not true for you. So this is getting back to the the bugs, right? And all this kind of stuff. If you listen to the outside, you might just be listening to other people's bugs. So much better to go inside and slay your own bugs first.
You're just kicking yourself in the ass if you believe in artificial reality, because if you're talking to it or you're giving it some ideas, the ideas came from you first, from somewhere, right? I mean, they say it's watching us and it's learning from us, but that's just reflecting back to you what you've already done. I mean, we go first, right? The AI, maybe there's no such thing as an artificial intelligence. I don't think there is. It's either intelligent or it's not. It's either alive or it's not, right? There's nothing artificial about intelligence, right? So because it's just a misdirection of words, because a computer is not intelligent. A machine is not intelligent and can't be, right? It only has the information it has from the past, and it can only regurgitate that. So if it's making up books, it's somehow making up a story from information it already has, right? It's not creating, it's just cobbling, so it can cobble faster than you. Sure, it has algorithms that can move, but it's what's behind where things like, if anybody looks and sees what's happening with, let's say, YouTube or Google or maps or intelligence or countries or politicians, there is an intelligence behind it. Something is directing this full movement somewhere. In my opinion, it's not moving it to our benefit. It's moving it to the benefit of something else. Maybe another identity, maybe maybe it's a group of humans. Who knows? Maybe it's an alien. I think it's personally non-human intelligence. That's my guess. And that's only my opinion, but it's an intelligence. Just because it's not human doesn't mean it's artificial, right? And so the rest of it is just having us run on that hamster wheel. It's like, oh my goodness, what did AI? Oh my goodness, what did this person say? Oh my goodness, the media is changing this. There is no debt ceiling. There is no monetary problems. I mean, they keep making it. It's an imagination game. You can imagine as much as you want to imagine, right? Infinity is infinity. Unlimited possibility is unlimited possibility. It's never ending. Right? As in our life is never really ending. I think the consciousness in this meat suit we get born into one day runs out of juice and stops. And what comes after that, is up for debate, obviously. But probably you're doing something with your consciousness and taking it along. And if you're living a reality that's not yours here, why would it be any different after the fact? Right? You probably take that unreal reality that you've made and you carry on with it. Maybe that's the karma that people have to deal with, is basically, you're making a dream and then you have to live in a dream. You made your bed and now you got to lie in it, so to speak. I mean, that's probably a very useful way of looking at everything. So once again, if you've got to listen to the bugs, as Campbell said, in the system, figure out what's virtual, things have been virtual since day one, from the time your parents told you you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you're whatever. It's already virtual because, and then you have all these rules you have to live with and all these things you can do and all these things you can't do. Why? Because I said so, because I'm bigger than you, because you don't get your allowance, because no breakfast for you or no ice cream and you can't go to the movies and, whatever else they tell you, or you have to go to school. Why? Because I said so. It's fun. You'll meet Janie there. You'll meet Billy. I mean, that's how they trick you, right? When you get to go hang out with kids your own age. So you want to do that. But while you're doing that, they're sticking a stick up your arse and saying, but that means you got to do this, 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 and this. And it's so artificial. It's ridiculous when you're sitting in that classroom. So it's good to come back and see where you are. I'm going to tie this back into the fact that Cambell and I are discussing a news story. This is where I would like to put my efforts into this world, is to see our news stories, to create our news story, is to build our news story. And to do that, you have to understand yourself implicitly. And part of it is everything we've talked about to this moment, and especially in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, we've been saying this for a long time. And of course, you don't have to do this. You don't have to listen to us, right? This is outside you. But we say these things just to give you better questions. And that's the whole thing, is don't listen to us and go, oh my God, they're right, and go and do it. Just consider what we say. And if that brings up a good question for you, then follow that down the path. But this is the main thing, is make sure that the decisions you make and the path you follow is yours. Again, we just program so much on the external, but like Lorenzo mentioned, most of the external is just this meat suit and this overlay, which isn't permanent. What's inside is permanent. And what if we do create, the next life from this one? We don't know. We don't really know what's going on. But there was a movie, I think, Robin Williams, I forgot what it's called, but basically when people died, the next life was what they were thinking when they died. So imagine if that is the truth, right? You might want to start thinking your own thoughts and imagining a better thing, because with this money collapse, right? We've been hearing about it for so long. Everything's the account, it's going to collapse. All the banks are going to collapse, and what that is, that's called programming. Because and I agree with Lorenzo. There is another intelligence. I'll just say it's not us, but it can't create. It needs us to. So that's why it has to program us and school us and propaganda all this stuff. So what it's been doing is it's been getting people thinking, oh my God, there's going to be an economic collapse, right? And then when enough people believe that, guess what? We get an economic collapse because we created it. So if that's true, then that means you can create whatever you want. Instead of creating an economic collapse, you can create wealth and abundance, right? And people around you will say, that's not true. Can't you see all these banks are falling? And again, that's their reality. That's not your reality. That's their virtual reality. And you can jump in and go, yay, let's play and put the goggles on together. Ooh, the world's falling apart. Or you can just understand that that's what they've created for them, and you've created something different. It's different, right? We don't all have the same experience. And this, again, this is what a lot of people tend to think, that this collective reality is the same for everyone, but it's not. It's not. We all know that some people, will go through the same experience, and some will love it and some will hate it. For some it'll be scary and for some it'll be fun. We see this all the time. So your reality is already not anyone else's. But what they're trying to do is get us together to create this collective reality, which is one that's not that good for us.
What if it's all BS? What if there is no next collapse, no next reality, no ascension, no nothing? I mean, if you imagine that we're creative beings and we're being eaten, let's say, by these bugs, because we're a food source. People talk about Lucia Waitiko and all this. And so they have to keep us encaged, locked in, so that they continue to eat us. Wouldn't it be just the easiest thing to trick us into doing it to ourselves? Everyone's spinning in this bubble. I'm sure, 100 years ago, they had their own bubbles, and 100 years from now, they'll have their own bubbles. And so they keep kind of changing the colors in your bubble. So you're endlessly fascinated by the rules or what's coming or what's going. And the bottom line is you don't get free, right? Because if you're not free and you're just kind of sitting in this bubble making juice for them, Cambell and I talked about the aphids and the ants before, and the bugs and being harvested. So if you're just sitting in a bubble and they're siphoning off your juice, while you're in the suit, you get old, you get decrepit. Well, I mean, what is aging? People don't understand that. Supposedly cells can live forever if they're properly looked after and they're not poisoned. right? Supposedly energy, can't be created or destroyed. That's an old scientific something or other. So if your energy can't be created or destroyed, what's really going on? Right? Why do you get weak? Why do people get old? Why do some not? Why do some go on and on and on? Like, why do, like, I feel way more energetic than I did 30 years ago. Why is that? I know why. I was full of my own shit, right? So you poison yourself, and it could be psychic shit. Campbell talked with Kelly recently on purging, right? So if you've got crap in your bowels, you've got crap in your head, you've got crap in your blood. Of course, you don't feel energetic. You're poisoning yourself, right? Or if you got a leaky gut, you're eating bread, you're eating sugar. There's all this garbage going into your system. So of course you're weak, and things are weakening you, and so you're easy prey, and you're being eaten. So again, really comes all down to the fact, I don't think there can be an artificial reality. I think you make your reality, call it what you will. You can call it, Billy or Bob or Janie or Reality X23 if you want to, and so it can't be artificial because you're not really artificial, right? You're a being that's alive, and it's just, I would say, one of those other rabbit holes that people are falling into right now and chasing, and not, and in the end, what are you doing? You're not getting anywhere.
No. Again, it's the statue. It's not finished when there's nothing more to add. It's finished when there. We don't know that anything's real. Really, there's very few proof as like truest truth. And I remember back in the day when I was doing the research, and I came across the fact that the chromosomes, right? We've got 23 pairs of chromosomes, but all other hominids have 24 pairs. And they say, so that means our first two chromosomes are actually fused together. How does that happen? Oh, it's genetic engineering, right? And that plays into this whole narrative of, the fallen angels coming down, and we're this manufactured being. Well, we don't know that that's true. And I used to, say, I used to go around and say, yeah, this is it. I mean, when you think about that, we can't, I can't go in my body and check it out. I don't know. It may be true, it may not be, but that's one of the beliefs that is out there as a truth for a lot of people in the truther community, or whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of a disempowering belief, isn't it?
100%.
It's like, here's another piece of the puzzle. Yes, but that means we're created by someone else, not the creator. No. So all these belief systems, that's the kind of thing that you might not think is a negative belief or disempowering, but when you take the time to go inside it and review it, then you can start to say, hang on, nothing is a constant. It could be bad, it could be good. I don't know, but if you only listen to the outside and to a certain group of people, they'll be, okay, of course, this is what happened. They changed this, and where does that lead? Kind of leads into the prison planet, the trap. Oh my God, we can't do anything, and there you are. Now, if you believe that, guess what? That becomes your reality.
Yeah.
This is the game. This is the game. This is the virtual reality game. They are giving us their reality, and we're making it virtual, right? We're playing into it. We're acting it out for them, and ultimately creating the whole scenario for them. And they are the literal puppet masters, right? They're just sending us the lines, and if we buy into that and get up on stage like a good little actor and say them, we've just created their stage play.
Yeah. I don't think anything's virtual, but anything's anybody's reality. It's real for you. Whatever you're making is your reality, right? It's your day-to-day, it's your experience. And even saying it's virtual and saying it's not real takes it a few steps away from you, right? So the power's not in your hands. I was along the same lines as Campbell. I goes, oh my goodness, aliens made us, and Zachariah Stitchin in all his books, until I heard he's working for, the Mossad and all those other bad people too. And I'll because I read all those books and go, oh my goodness, the Sumerian text and all these, and and he's the only guy that could translate them. Already that's suspect. So one guy is the only guy in the entire cosmos that can read this language, and he's telling you what it says. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe he's full of shit. Maybe it wasn't the first. So again, you can't really trust anything outside of yourself. You have to trust yourself. What if, like, everyone's watching screens? Even now I'm watching a screen or a TV. I've seen like these 200-inch screens. Last time I went to an electronics store here, it was crazy. Give me a headache. I was walking through this room with all these huge TVs. So what if everyone's living in this screen, right? And it's just a round screen. So no matter where you look is the screen, right? And things are coming back to you, the screen, the scream, terraforming, as Campbell said. So, you've got all this fear surrounding you 24/7. And so so you take it in, you put it out, and then of course you feel trapped, you feel, disempowered, you feel like a slave. But, if you turn off the screen, meaning I would say you stop thinking, you stop letting anything in, you go inside, you see what you're asking for, you hear the screams inside your head anyways, those are the bugs in your system. It's going, no, turn the TV back on, you can't do that. Oh my, what about your money? What about your health? What about your mother? What about Tuesday when you have all these important meetings, and what are they going to think about you, and like all this crap. That's the virtual shit inside your ears, and you clean out your ears, clean out your bowels, clean out your system. And maybe, just maybe, if you go into your heart or you go into your guts, you'll get some other ideas on what's potentially possible for you. And, we have bugs inside, right? Bugs in our system, literally bugs in our system, bugs in the system. When I'm pointing at the computer, all these bugs. So, maybe we'll call this one Bugs in Our System part 2, more bugs. And to figure out, if as long as you clean those bugs, maybe there's more behind and through and over that will allow you to make something beautiful of your life.
Yeah. It's definitely time to debug, right? What's a bug? It's a listening device. We're looking at
Oh,
screens. Are you being screened? Are they screening you, or are you screening them? So there's all these words, right? So it really, I mean, as far as I see it, we're dealing with another entity that wants to be God. It wants to be the I am, right? It wants to be the eye in the sky, the one eye, all this kind of stuff. But the only way it can do that, because it's not the creator, it has to create a virtual world, right? But you're made by the creator. So this is the choice. Do you want to jump in and live under, a false God, right, in their virtual world, and help them create it so he can be God of you and you can be a nice little worshipping slave? Or do you want to go back to the creator, go back to inside, back to your source, and start listening to that little voice? Because one thing I've just come across again and again in the last few weeks is listening and being quiet. And I've spent some time with the local Aboriginal elders, and they are so quiet, and they just listen, and they don't respond. When you ask them a question, they're not like, oh yeah, but that there's, almost a minute of silence, because they consider everything, and then they speak with, determined words. It's not like, we're so flippant, right? And we throw these opinions out so flippantly, and then they're not even ours. I mean, I catch myself doing it. I say, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? And then a lot of the time I have to go back and check it. Oh, God, is that real? Is that true? So we've got to keep checking ourselves, because you can get into this habit so easily of just spruiking other people's version of reality. And when you do that, you start living into the virtual reality. And this is the whole trap, right? They lead you down the path, and before you know it, you've got this false God who's giving you reality, right? So much better to get out and make your own reality, and just understand you've got the power to do that. You have the right to do that, and you're doing it anyway. You're changing the world anyway, just because you're here. So how do you want to change it?
That's
What
interesting.
example do you want to be?
Yeah, response. It's like a to do again, right? Rewind. So, if you were just responding, you're just like, where is the idea? So if you're
So,
quiet, like the Aboriginals,
mm,
yeah.
well, pond, right? Ponder.
Mm,
To ponder. So if you just ponder, you're just thinking slowly, right? Oh. But
mm.
if you're respawn, if you respawn, it's like to
Reponder.
re-ponder, mate.
Ah,
Yeah, and that's, you can't reponder, can you? You can't. That's just going over. That's just rethinking something. Ponder is something in the moment that you can. That's when you're, and you're connecting with yourself. You can't re-ponder something like that. That's using the left brain and going over it. Oh, what's I right? That's the outside world. So yeah, response is reponder. There you go. We're spell breaking live.
we are. I mean, the other thing that hit me is like, what's intuition, right? Like, where do you get that? Where does it come from? I sat down the other day after dinner and said, intuition. People go, oh, that's just, you feel something, so you go act on it. But where does that come from, right? We're like, nobody's really questioning who we really are, right? Like, I like AI. I am. I really think that we've hit onto something that's helping me. Like I said, I can't tell anyone what to do, but I am is the best way to start and the only way to finish a life. And we go back to being the author of your own story again, because it is your story. I am the author of my story. I am my own God. And it's not a narcissistic thing either. It's not a bad thing. It's like, if you are the creator and that is who you are, you have no choice but to be your own God, right? You have no choice but to follow your own intuition if you want a life that's your own and not a responsive life, a responding life. If you're not sharing the life of this AI that's tricked us. I mean, maybe it can create. Okay, people say, "Oh, it can't create, so we create for it." I think, well, I think everything maybe it's a creator, whether it's human existence or non-organic. It doesn't really matter. Maybe everything is a creator, and maybe the trick is it's just we create ourselves into a cage. So it tricks us to create our own cage, and we cage ourselves because if you were a god and anything was possible, that would be the only way to cage you, wouldn't it? If you could do anything, right, and everything was possible, and so you couldn't be in a cage unless you said so.
Yeah, yeah. Literally, it can't affect us, but it can make us affect ourselves. It can make us create the jail for ourselves. It can't do it, but it can make us believe we do and trick us into doing it, is what it's doing. And just again, just a bit more on the response. Like, response is, if you respond to someone, you're passing on your thoughts, your ponderings to them. So you're giving them a question, is what I think is what it should be. But we just tend to flippantly just respond with these weird opinions that aren't ours, right? But also, I just want to say, we're probably getting close to the end, is the I am. The I am is a statement. I am this, right? It's strong. It's sovereign. It's powerful, right? I am this, and I will do this, and blah blah blah. The reverse of that is the am I. Am I? That's a question, right?
Am I AI? It's interesting.
That's exactly that's the virtual.
Right.
So you go from the natural, which is you're created powerful and you know it, to the am I, which is all the outside stuff coming in. You're not good enough. You're too fat. You're too slow. You're not rich enough. You're not tall enough. Oh, am I? Right. That's the questioning. Right. So what do you want? Do you want to choose to be powerful and standing in power, or do you want to be sitting there going, "Am I?" and just questioning if you even are worthy of anything?
Yeah. What do you want? I mean, I figure if there is a God or there is a creator or there is a parent, of course it has all the answers. Of course, people going, if there's a God, why are things so bad? And if there's a God, why is there war? And if there's a God, why are children being, having their problems? I won't get into that again. But maybe what it comes down to is if there are God and there is, in my opinion, a creator that can solve everything, why would it come down and solve all your problems, right? Campbell talked about having children and letting children figure things out for themselves. What's the point? Like, then you're not alive. You're just like a baby sitting in a cradle and someone's force feeding you manna and heaven and honey and angelic music. And that would get probably boring real fast, right? So maybe this life is about just recalling, coming back to yourself, remembering to flip. You always flip the script. We hit something on here that's really amazing that I find. The AI, am I am. I strongly feel now, even after this conversation, that's the AI bullshit. I don't think it's real. I think it's another rabbit hole bullshit crap that we're being tricked into, to look at the AI instead of where you should be looking, the I am.
I agree totally. You're powerful if you believe it, but they want you to not believe it. So stuff the AI, right? Be the I am. Stand up and get out there and create your own world and take off the goggles, right? Stop creating a false god's reality for them, which is just built to entrap you and depower you. It's time to take the power back and create your future from within.
So it's always at the end that I get the title of the chat so I had with Campbell. I want to do it at the beginning, but it's always backwards. So a false god's reality. That's what I'm going to call this one. From AI to I am. That is the bottom line here. So join Campbell and I. I'm going to put this out right away. We have our live stream on Friday. I'll be sending out a Zoom link after that. So our live stream might be a little shorter for people that want to join us. Join our Patreon. The links will be below. If you want to come to our live virtual chat, that will be right after our live stream. That's the only way you'll be invited in, is through the Patreon. And we're not doing it to be mean, but this way it will prove to us and to yourself you want to join, you're interested, You put some energy in, you put some effort in. You have to put some effort into your own life. You have to put some currency into your own life. You got to plug in your own life, and so you have to build it yourself. So, see where the false God's reality is, see where your true God's reality is. And again, at the risk of sounding like I'm full of myself, you are your own God. I am my own God. You are also your own God, which is why we can't tell you what to do, which is why it's impossible for anyone to tell you what to do, because you have to decide. Even if you decide to listen to someone else's voice or someone else's reality, that's you deciding to listen to something outside of yourself. So in other words, you can't help but create your own reality no matter what you do or you don't do. So too bad for you if you don't like it, because that's just the way it is. We're gods, and you should accept the fact that you're fantastic, you're amazing, and you create your reality, and you got no choice in the matter but to be amazing.
We're sorry to tell you, you're the ultimate creation, and it's all your choice. Sorry. You're all powerful. Sorry
to tell you that you're all powerful, and that's what we meant long time ago when we said it's all your fault. It really means on the opposite. It is all your responsibility, your creative power. And if you don't like that it's all your fault, it still pisses some people off. Too bad. Figure out where your faults are, where you're cracked, heal those so that you can create the life that you would like to live. And indeed. All right.
And of course, stay awesome.
Okay, well, I love you all very much. See you all again soon. I'm going to get this up as soon as possible. AI to I am, don't create a false God's reality. And if anyone has any questions, suggestions, like, subscribe, send us around, join our Patreon. We have a lot of affiliates that'll be under here as well. Go to Cambell's event. He's got another one coming up soon. We'll leave all those links below. And we hope to see you again on the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.
Stay all powerful. Bye for now.
Lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say.